A warm welcome. Those attending or viewers watching live on the Council YouTube channel, Hillingdon, London. My name is Councillor Higgins. I'm the chairman of this committee. Details of business that to be considered today are shown on the agenda, and copies of which are accessible online underneath the live broadcast. For those present in the room and intending to speak, please note that you will be filmed, and any statement you make will be recorded and made public. A reminder to anyone speaking today that our voice will only be heard and audible when you switch the mic on, which is sometimes some of us leave it on. The other thing is we're not expecting a fire drill, so if the alarm does go off, please follow officers outside of the building. Councillors, can you make sure your phones are on silent? For those in the audience, can you either put your phones on silent or turn them off? You might notice that some of us around the table will be using laptops, therefore, obviously, for the work and for the agenda. I'd like to go through the attendees, councillors first. Welcome Councillor Bennett, my Vice Chairman. Councillor Ahmed Wallan. I keep getting... I know, I've got to say anyway. Councillor Roy Chandel, which is Councillor Mand, Councillor Gaelic and Councillor Singh. Welcome. Officers Ed Lawton, Area Planning Service Manager, Central and South. Kate Crosby, Area Planning Service Manager, North. Alan Cochran. Close enough, right. Planning Team Lead, Deputy. Owen Conner Cannon. It's like, you know, I've got to find my teeth somewhere. I think I left them in the thing. Dr. Alan Tilley, Transport Planning and Development for Highways. Thank you very, very much. Jimmy Waltz, my legal advisor. Natalie Fairclough, my legal advisor. And Anisha Teji, Democratic Services, who obviously will give me a kick later because I haven't been speaking very well. I'm going to go through Chairman's announcements first. Can I have apologies for absence?
Apologies from Councillor Burrows with Councillor Ahmed Walana substituting.
Thank you. Declaration of interest matters coming before the committee? No? Okay. Do we agree the minutes of the previous meeting? Thank you. Matters to be notified in advance are urgent. There are none. And to confirm that all items of business marked Part 1 will be considered in public. We have no Part 2. The other thing I'd just like to say to councillors, if you do object to an application, which is all in your right, I will be asking you for what reasons, okay? And I'll be noting them for minutes, all right? So with planning reasons would be helpful. Okay, so Councillor Walana, thank you very much. So I did get it right. It's a pleasure. Welcome and thank you for the substitution. So we crack on, which is item, the only petition item for this evening, which is 140 Linden Avenue in Eastcote.
Thank you, Chair. Item 6, 140 Linden Avenue. The application seeks planning permission for demolition of existing bungalow and the erection of 2 number semi-detached dwellings, including habitable accommodation within the roof space and 1 basement, associated parking and amenity space. The next slide, you see the constraints to the property. It's situated on the southern side of Linden Avenue. As you can see, it isn't within any designated heritage space conservation area. What hasn't been picked up there is a tree preservation order on a tree to the east of the site, which we will be able to show you in the photographs. So that's a bird's eye view plan of the site. If you can see it on the top right hand corner in its current form, and that's it from the aerial. And as you can see, the tree is situated on the left of the property. So there's your site location plan and the existing site and floor plan. The existing bungalow consists of a two-bed property with living accommodation to the back and 2 bedrooms to the front, with a garage along the boundary with 138A Linden Avenue. So here we have the existing elevations. I would point out that the photo on the right hand side just gives you a flavour of the existing relationship. As you can see from it, you have a garage right up against the boundary, which will be demolished, and the site will be set in 1 metre from that boundary, given a separation with the neighbour. Also in the street view, you have the existing neighbouring property. You can see the height of that property compared to the bungalow. Again, we have the proposed site plan. So basically, parking to the front for 1 car space for each dwelling. Generous gardens to the rear, and you also have cycle and refuge storage to the rear with access from the sides. And these are the proposed basement and ground floor plans. So the basement is situated on the western property, away from the TPO tree. Then you have the ground floor plan which comprises living space completely on the ground floor, and on the upper floors, first floor, you have bedrooms. So the western property is a 4-bed family unit, and the eastern is a 3-bed unit. And this is the proposed elevations. It is a gable-ended property with a projecting gable feature. I would point out that there are a variance of dwellings along the street scene, as you can see from the photos that come up next. So just this sectional drawings just gives you a relationship with showing the basement on 140, and the sectional drawing closest to the tree has no basement, just to give you an idea of that. So this is the relationship on the street scene. As you can see, the ridgeline carries it slightly higher than the neighbouring property. However, it wouldn't be as high as the properties on the opposite side of the street, which have, I suppose, ridgelines of 8.2 to 7.9 metres in height. As you can see, also it picks up on some of the features associated with the existing dwellings in the neighbourhood. So you can see here the existing front elevation of the bungalow. It's a generous size plot, and officers are satisfied there is scope for 2 dwellings on the site. I would point out that the neighbouring property was initially a bungalow too, and that received planning permission in around 2012 and has been completed next door. And this is the rear elevation of the property, and you see it in the context of 138A Linden Approach and the existing garden. Again, you know, the bungalow is in a state of disrepair, and obviously, you know, there is scope for development here. So this gives you a wider context of the street scene, and I suppose what you get from this slide is the variance in the dwellings on the street. So you have gable-ended properties on the right-hand side. You have a detached property next to that. The bungalow property of the application site is that photo is taken from the front of that bungalow property. So again, the variance gives more scope for a 2-storey dwelling. And just again, photos from the entrance to Linden Avenue and the gable examples directly opposite the site. So this again is the wider local character from Columbia Field, which lies adjacent to site. If you see the arrow, the dwelling will be behind that tree. So you know it would not be visible from Columbia Field, and we're satisfied that the tree will be protected in terms of our tree officers have given comments, and we have a number of conditions ensuring that the trees will be protected during the construction phase. Generally, in terms of principle, officers are satisfied that the development is acceptable. There is scope for 2 units. You're providing 2 family-sized units instead of an existing 2-bed unit, so that is a benefit to Hillingdon. You also have a design that is acceptable in the context of the street scene. Officers are satisfied that there would be no impact on neighbours' amenity. It would be outside the 45-degree lines from both the front and rear of the property. The neighbour at 138A has 2 flank windows that serve bathrooms and are obscure glazed, so there would be no impact on that neighbouring property. The overall standards of accommodation are acceptable. We got a basement impact assessment during the course of the application, and that has been assessed by our environmental specialist manager, who is satisfied that it is acceptable, and also the properties would meet biodiversity net gain. On that grounds, officers are satisfied that the proposal is acceptable and recommend approval subject to conditions.
Thank you, Corinne. That's really good. We have a petition on this item, but it's a written representation. Anisha, would you want to read that out?
Written statement from Misha Shah. I formally object to this application on several grounds which are detailed below. 1. Privacy concerns due to loft dormers. The proposed inclusion of third-storey loft dormers at 140 and 142 Linden Avenue will severely impact the privacy of rear gardens at 138/138A Linden Avenue and 2 Beach Avenue. Currently, these gardens are private and secluded. However, direct overlooking from the loft dormers would compromise his privacy. The line of sight from the lofts would intrude on the privacy of rear-facing rooms on Beach Avenue, creating an obstructive view into these properties and affecting the quality of life for residents. 2. Drainage concerns. The application lacks a comprehensive drainage plan, which is critical given the current inadequacies in the drainage system. Residents in the private section of Linden Avenue have experienced recurrent surface water flooding during heavy rains, with water even entering their properties. Connecting the new development to this already inadequate system risks exacerbating flooding issues. Moreover, the application does not address mandatory measures for managing surface and groundwater or waterproofing provisions for the basement, both of which are essential in a project of this scale. 3. Impact on access and road condition. The private road serving 140 Linden Avenue is made of sand and pebbles and is maintained solely by residents. It is not built to withstand heavy construction vehicles, and the applicant has made no commitment to repair potential damage from construction activity. Due to the road's narrow width, large construction vehicles will likely encroach on resident driveways, impeding access to their homes. Additionally, as there is no footpath, residents currently use the road for pedestrian access, which raises safety concerns during construction. 4. Impact on neighbourhood character and overdevelopment. The proposed development is inconsistent with all the houses on this private section of Linden Avenue, which are detached. The introduction of 2 semi-detached houses will disrupt this uniformity, resulting in a building that feels out of place and incongruent with the surrounding architecture. Moreover, the proposed development represents overdevelopment, both in terms of size and scale. The existing bungalow and garages cover approximately 69 square metres, while the proposed structure will cover 285 square metres, a nearly threefold increase in building mass. The addition of 2, 3 and 4-storey semi-detached houses results in a cramped form of development that detracts from the street scene. 5. Overshadowing and inconsistent roofline. The proposed roofline at 140 and 142 Hillingdon Avenue is higher than adjacent properties, disrupting the architectural consistency of the area. Recently built properties at 138 and 138 feature lower, flat top rooflines. In 2014, a height restriction was imposed on 138 and 138A to protect neighbouring privacy, access to natural light and overall architectural harmony. Given that the original dwelling at 140 Hillingdon Avenue was a bungalow with a low roofline, a similar height restriction should apply here to maintain consistency and minimise impacts on surrounding properties. 6. Absence of geotechnical survey for basement construction. The proposal lacks a geotechnical survey, which is essential for assessing soil conditions and ensuring structural stability. This survey is necessary to evaluate risks such as ground stability and water ingress. The application also does not specify a method for pile driving, which raises concerns about potential noise and vibration impacts on nearby properties. British Standard BS 5228 (1992) sets acceptable noise limits for urban construction at 70 dB outside sensitive buildings. Minimizing vibration from piling is also critical, particularly given the proximity of a nursery. I request a detailed piling timeline along with on-site noise and vibration monitoring to reduce impacts on nearby residents. 7. Questionable biodiversity metric. The biodiversity metric provided by the applicant lacks credibility as it was conducted without evidence of expertise. The results appear dubious, especially considering that the temporary vegetable garden established post-application does not constitute a sustainable increase in biodiversity. This measure does not substantiate the applicant's claim of enhancing biodiversity and lacks legitimacy in this context. 8. Party wall requirements and structural support. The application does not address potential impacts on the adjoining property at 138A Hillingdon Avenue regarding party wall requirements. The application should provide assurances on maintaining the structural integrity of neighbouring properties and outline how potential impacts will be managed. 9. Additional information requested prior to approval. To ensure a thorough review, I respectfully request that the following documents and plans be submitted and reviewed by the Council before any construction approval. Dust management plan, demolition and disposal plan, environmental impact assessment, site waste management plan, geotechnical survey for basement construction management plan, build material specifications. Similar documentation was requested for the development at 138 Hillingdon Avenue, and the same should apply here to safeguard community interests.
Thank you, Anisha. I'll have to give the applicant an extra 20 seconds. He ran over a little bit. Never mind. Can we have the applicant, Neil Hammond, is he present? If you'd like to come and take a seat, sir. It's very simple. We have a traffic light system here, so you have 4 minutes on green, 1 minute amber and red, but I will give you the extra 20 seconds if you need it, so don't worry about it. Okay? The red button, that's it.
Press this one,
yes, please, that's it.
Am I good to go? Yeah. Thank you. Okay, so from Simon Hands and Associates, I'm the principal agent acting on behalf of Mr. Barisha, my client. So his brief to us was to echo the developments at 138 Hillingdon Avenue to demolish, as the councillor has said, to demolish the bungalow and replace with 2 new houses, with the intention that one of the properties will be his forever home. So ideally he would have liked to have preferred to have 2 detached houses, with the larger of the 2 properties bordering Columbia Avenue Field, and this property was to have the basement. Now, when we came to survey it, obviously we saw the mature trees and thought that might be an issue. And Mr. Bedry commissioned then our arboricultural assessment, and that did indeed reveal the root protection areas, root protection areas, and that the basement would significantly impact that. So we're back to the drawing board, and you'll see on the amended documents that were submitted with the second design, which was for the current proposal now, 2 semi-detached properties with the basement effectively swapping the 2 with the basement away from the trees, and that's obviously satisfied the tree officer. So throughout the application, following feedback from the planner, Emily Bateman, we've applied several revisions to the semi-detached scheme, and we actually believe that most of the reasons the original objections were cited have been addressed. Dealing with the design, again, looking at, we looked at the properties in the area and decided on, being that Mr. Bedry wanted rooms in the roof, decided on the gable end aesthetic, which mirrored the properties across the road. Now, coming to the concerns of the objectors, so talking about overall size and scale, we originally submitted with quite a large extension on the western property. We've numbered that house 140. So that had a deeper rear extension. Ms. Bateman came back and said, there's concerns about that. So that was addressed, and we've pulled that back in. So the, if you like, the single-storey element that's on the plans there doesn't line up with each other, and again are within the 45-degree lines. The dormers, they were revised as well to being set much further in and further back than originally submitted. Obviously, it's like any other 1930 style 3-bed with a loft conversion. Indeed, I think it's 179 as a loft conversion across the road, so we don't think in that regard there'll be any undue, privacy issues. With the tree officer as well, he had ongoing issues with the eastern property, and we actually reduced the width of that in a revision as well, pulled that in by 300 mil from originally submission, and so he's now satisfied with that. Also, in swapping the 2 properties, it's not having the basement on the western side has allowed drainage to pretty much be maintained in the same position as the existing bungalow, which they all come in on that eastern side of the bungalow. So I don't think there'll be any drainage issues there. Okay. And from experience, we've known that being so close to mature lime. Oh, is that time up? Okay, so lime and maple trees, the foundations would always be piled. So they're going to be augured piled, and the basement will be a contiguous pile system, which allows the piles to go in first before any basement excavation is undertaken, so there won't be any impact on the neighbours.
That is your time then. Thank you.
Thank you.
Does any councillors have any questions for the applicant? No? Thank you. You can turn the button off and go back to your seat. That'd be great. Thank you very much. Right. Councillor Bennett.
Thank you, Chair. There's quite a lot of concerns from the petitioner, and then there's also, when I was reading through it, quite an irony, because obviously the street seems very varied. Presumably quite a lot of these properties were once bungalows. These bungalows have steadily been demolished. People have moved in. It's a very varied street scene. And most of the concerns equally would have been concerns about the properties that are already there around the traffic,
around the overdevelopment, around how cramped the seat screen is, the private road, etc. And actually, if you live in the applicant's property, the bungalow, I think actually if all of those concerns can be overcome when the property next door was approved, the same has to work the other way, and a precedent has kind of been set. My question is around the basement. So I've never seen an application with a basement before. They're quite uncommon. Is, I suppose, one, around the petition's concerns around have all the right surveys been carried out, and two, how do we ensure that a basement without any natural light is not used as a bedroom at any subsequent stage?
Yes, I forget how we've had them before, but they have been quite rare. You're quite right. You're too young. Exactly. That's the whole point. Does Katie or...
Yeah, I can take a bit of that. Yeah, we did get a basement impact assessment during the processing of the application, and it was carried out by a relevant professional. It was a geotechnical engineer. This has been reviewed by our environmental manager who specialises in flooding, etc. And he was satisfied that the level of detail was acceptable. In terms of the actual the room itself, it's ancillary hobby room associated with the main dwelling itself. There is no way of allowing it to a condition that would be reasonable. However, in the context, if it was used, I suppose they do have quite a lot of bedrooms in play with the property. There's 4 beds already. If it was used as a bedroom, we could potentially investigate it if there was an issue of a change of use of some sort. But generally, it's ancillary accommodation associated with the actual family unit. There's no windows associated with it, and I suppose the basement policy kind of restricts light wells to the front, so actually having a window to the front would be against the policy.
Yeah, Councillor, we had this issue a while back, and I feel like I was in your seat, as you were, and I pushed for a policy to be developed by us, and this is the sort of framework of that now, so that we have these checks and balances, that officers can get the report done. Because last time it was a lot of times it was someone would put an application for a basement without doing all the work before. So we've sort of twisted that around to make it more comfortable for us. But when someone closes the front door, no one knows what's going on behind that. So I'm sorry I don't want to be a doom and gloom person, but there you go.
Ancillary hobbies, whatever
that
hobbies you'd like to do in the dark.
Exactly. No, it'd have lighting. I'm sure it has lighting down there. It's not a dungeon, so I'm sure they do maybe model making. I'm not going to ask the applicant what his hobbies are. It's none of my business, and that's beyond my remit.
Thank you.
Councillor Chandel.
Thank you, Chair. As Councillor Bennett has said, I'm in the street scene. It's just at the water now. It's everything and anything. In terms of this bungalow, the applicant looks to develop it as much as he can. It's almost that Lego effect. How many Lego pieces can I put in there? Oh, I can't put it here. I'll put it on that other side. It is what it is. The only question I have is something what the petitioner was saying about the windows on the dormer, how they impact. Are we quite sure they don't impact on the neighbours? And is there anything I'm not sure we can do anything with dormer windows, whether they have the obscure makes no difference because you can still open them.
Yeah, we're satisfied enough that the dormers project onto the application's property. There's no dormers on the flank walls. The the immediate area outside the neighbour's site would be protected because of the positioning of the dormers. They're set in from the sides, they're set down, or set in from the eaves. So, you know, in an urban setting, there will always be a level of overlooking to the rear gardens. However, the immediate garden, where most neighbours would congregate if they were having a barbecue or so forth, would remain protected. We're satisfied the distance to the rear of the property is over 30 metres to the neighbours at the back. So in terms of amenity, it definitely meets that test.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. I think, well, with everything that's in front of us and on balance, what's been presented, I will be going with officer's recommendation.
Are you proposing?
I ended proposing it.
Does Councillor Bennett?
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, the other thing I was thinking of as well in terms of the petitioner around the condition of the road is the applicant, particularly if they're going to occupy one of the properties, would also therefore be one of the residents who contributes to the road. So it is in their interest that damage to the highway is kept to a minimum because they would also be liable. So yeah, in light of that and for the reasons I said earlier, I'm happy to second officer's recommendation for approval.
Thank you very much. I just want to add something just so we're clear. I know we've got a management plan, but the construction management plan for deliveries, can we make sure that that is a very narrow road, and I don't want there to be issues. We have that in the past developments. I know it's in. I know it's in there, but I don't think we've specified any times. Something, can we?
Yeah, point 2 would be.
Yeah. So can we just sort of? Can officers, you know, put some meat on that bone so we could that the applicant and the neighbours are aware that there is a time to make deliveries, not inconvenience to everybody who's trying to get out to work or to school or whatever. Okay, so that's been proposed and seconded. All agreement? All hands to show in favour? Yeah, lovely. So that's unanimous.
Did you want to see the condition wording?
No. You've done it before, so it's not something. Yep. Okay, so that's the petition items. Thank you very much. So that's approved. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so the next one is item 7, the square, Bursground Way, Hayes Town. Over to you, Alan. I am not even going to try again.
Good evening. This application site is number 3, the Square in Stockley Business Park. The application is for the change of use of an existing office building to a post-operative care facility, including external works to the building, landscaping, parking and associated works. No additional floor space is proposed. Building works would be limited to internal reconfigurations and a like-for-like replacement of the glass facades. No public comments or objections have been received following the consultation period. The recommendation for the application is to grant planning permission subject to a legal agreement and conditions. Here is the site's location plan showing the site in Stockley Business Park and the adjoining golf course to the north of the site. The site is designated within a Grade 2 listed park and garden and within an office growth location, locally significant employment location and within the Heathrow opportunity area. To the north of the site there is also greenbelt land, but that doesn't encroach on the application site. The application was referred to the GLA because there are more than 200 car parking spaces proposed and because the proposal has a floor area of greater than 2,500 square metres while the use would be contrary to the local development plan's site designations. The GLA raised no objections and advised that there is no requirement for further stage 2 referral. Taking the two strategic issues in turn, first regarding the car parking, here's the existing site plan showing the building surrounded by parking. There are currently 350 car parking spaces on the application site. I'm just going to skip forward to the proposed plan. And here's the proposed plan. So the proposal would retain 250 car parking spaces, which would be a reduction of 100 car parking spaces from the site. The applicant proposes replacing the parking to the west of the building with a landscaped garden. The additional planting ensures the site would achieve a policy compliant on-site biodiversity net gain and urban greening factor score. Replacing the tarmac with planting would not harm any heritage assets, rather it would enhance the Grade 2 listed park and garden. The Council's Highways team supports the proposal subject to recommended conditions and legal agreement, as it would encourage a shift towards sustainable travel while retaining appropriate levels of car parking for the proposed use. Likewise, the GLA also welcomes the reduction in car parking. It is also worth noting that all the retained car parking spaces on the site would be fitted with electrical vehicle charging infrastructure, and 46 cycle parking spaces would be added to the site. I'll just skip to the site photos to address the second strategic point. The post-operative care facility would be contrary to the site's designation as an office growth and employment location within the Heathrow Opportunity Area. But notwithstanding this, the office has been vacant for over 3 years now, since August 2021. That is despite ongoing marketing of the office space since 2020. The applicant has submitted robust and appropriate evidence in the form of an economic benefits assessment, market report and property market evidence report to justify this proposed departure from the development plan. The Council's planning policy team and the GLA have reviewed the submission and raised no objections to the change of use in this instance, and Council and GLA officers support the upgrading and reuse of this underutilised site. To conclude then, the proposal is considered acceptable and the application is recommended for approval subject to a legal agreement and conditions. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Yeah, absolutely brilliant, this one. Councillor Chandel.
Thank you, Chair. I think the officers have already said most of the points I was going to say. You know, it's a vacant building for 3 years, a reduction, unbelievable, a reduction of a parking space and then to build a garden. In terms of the use, I think we have to think ahead of what we need to do going forward, and I can't find a reason why to actually, you know, I think it's a very good idea. And the location where it is, it's close to Heathrow, good transport conditions, so I would formally propose going with the officer's recommendation on this, quite quickly.
Thank you, Councillor Chandel. Councillor Alarman.
Thank you, Chairman. Just echoing what my colleague said, it's a very good proposal. It's a beautiful site. I've seen all of that, and I think it serves a purpose for care facilities. I'm happy to second it.
Thank you. Two questions first before I take it. Councillor Gaelic, Councillor Singh and Councillor Mann, do you all want to speak? Is that right? That's fine.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, so it's nice to see that the hard standing surface will be replaced with vegetation, so it's sort of make it more sustainable. The question I have is about noise pollution. You mentioned that some of the windows, the glass will be replaced, Will there be any soundproofing measures to reduce noise from the fact that it's so near to the airport?
So we're talking about not the noise from inside, but the noise from outside, yes?
From outside.
Alan?
Yeah, I just refer you to the noise section of my assessment, which is paragraph 7.6.4. So the applicant has submitted a noise impact assessment, which the council's noise pollution officer has reviewed, and they, having reviewed that, confirmed that they've got no objections to the development. So there's no additional condition requirements around the glazing insulation.
Thank you, Chair. Actually, it's a good building, like we need these facilities. My question is, how we measure the air quality, because this is close to the airport. So, could you give us more detail about the air quality, please?
Do you want to take that?
Yeah, the application secured an air mitigation contribution of £271,000, £271,320,000, which will be going secured in the Section 106 legal agreement for air quality mitigation measures.
Okay, Councillor Mann.
Just wanted to make a small point in regards to, I think it's a good proposal. It's quite sad really to see Stockley with sometimes empty offices, and especially for so long, since I think 2021 this one. So fair play. I think it's a great idea. Yep.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think most of us around the table would agree with you. I just think it's such a, instead of trying to convert it into some sort of housing, they've used it for a different thing. And I think, obviously, because if it's medical use, I think inside they're going to have a lot of air conditioning, and they want to make sure that their patients are, they'll probably be, it's a private enterprise, this one as well, which is a bit sad, which it was NHS, but there you go, life is what it is. So I've been proposed and seconded. All those in favour is in officer recommendation, so that's unanimous, so that's been approved. Item 8, Bar Lodge. That's you again, Alan.
That's me again, yep. This item is number 1232 Bar Lodge on Bond Close. The proposal is for the replacement of existing windows and doors with new UPVC windows, fire-rated windows and timber doors. Here's the site's location plan showing the building's location on Bond Close. This application is presented to the committee because Hillingdon Council is the applicant. Neighbouring properties and also the existing residents were consulted, and no public comments or objections have been received following the consultation period. The proposed upgrades would be in keeping with the design and appearance of the existing building and surrounding area, and they would not, or they would have no impact on neighbouring amenity. In conclusion, the application is recommended for approval subject to conditions. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Armour, Councillor Bennett, Councillor Singh.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's really good news. It should have been done long ago. Wholeheartedly, I support this application because quite vulnerable people, they live down there. I know, I was a councillor in Useley, so I support this application and move with the officer's recommendations.
Thank you. So proposing, yes? Proposing?
Yes.
Yep. Okay, thank you. Councillor Bennett.
Thank you, Chair. My only question was just on the first page of the report, was just where the applicant is the London Borough of Hillingdon. Can we make sure that that's put? So if you see on agenda item 9, it says the applicant is Hillingdon Council. But for this application, it says it's a Mr. Merrick Knight. Sounds like a sort of something out of a crime fiction novel. Sure, it's actually
be careful. I think you're trying to get in the papers again.
But it was just for clarity, as much as it becomes very clear in the report, and we know the building, it's just, yeah, for the purposes on the front page, it would be good to say Hillingdon Council.
Right, thank you. Are you okay, Councillor Singh?
Thank you, Chair. I think this is straightforward, so I support the officer's recommendation.
Would you like to second it, Councillor?
Yes, I'm second.
Okay, so I'm proposed and seconded. All those in favour of the officer's recommendation? That's unanimous, Anisha. Thank you very much. Number 9 is 59 Boniface Road. Off you go, Alan. Thank you very much.
Item 9, 59 Boniface Road. This is for conversion of existing refuse storage area to provide disabled access to first floor flat with amendments to the fenestration and provision of bin stores. The site is situated on Boniface Road and forms part of Bunton's sheltered housing scheme, which comprises 36 one-bedroom flats, one on the ground and up one on the first floor. The flats are set within 2 terrace buildings with masonette style flats inside. So it is also within Ickenham Village Conservation Area. There's the site location plan identified there. So yeah, I'll just give you move on. So here is your existing and proposed floor plan. The area, I suppose the key to this is they're providing access for a person with disability who lives on the first floor, and they're putting in a stair lift. To achieve this, a new wall will be inserted on the flank, and the existing bin store will be converted to a door. The existing access arrangement for the neighbouring ground floor flat will be retained on the left-hand side, so that won't be changed. There's also refuge storage situated to the front of the property, as you can see in the bottom plan there. So this is the existing front elevation on the left-hand side, and on the right is you have your entrance door. It looks as though they're both beside each other, but one of the doors is set in back from the facade, so you'll see that here. Okay, so that's the relationship here. In terms of design, officers are satisfied it is acceptable. Our conservation officer has raised no objections. Our access officer is satisfied that it meets the requirements for the occupant. There's no real significant issues from a planning perspective. Officers have recommended approval subject to conditions.
Thank you, Owen. Councillor Bennett.
Thank you, Chair. No objections to this. Clearly, we have a resident who wants to stay in their property, and this will enable them to do so. So I'm happy to propose that we move officer's recommendation for approval.
Thank you, Councillor.
I second.
Yeah, this is for erection of a substation within Harefield Academy. It's brought forward to committee as it's the council is the applicant. No objections have been received from the public. So planning permission has been granted previously for a school application which was approved in February this year. And there's the site location plan. The substation would be located in the southern corner of the site in a landscaped area, which you will see with the photographs. So it is in the green belt. Our policies officers have raised no objection. The overall size of the substation is modest. It's less than 10 square metres in size, 3 by 2.8 approximately. And there's your site location plan, existing plan. So this is your, I suppose, the substation in plan. and this is it in elevation form. And that's the bird's eye view. So this is the current construction works ongoing on the site, and this is the location where the substation will be located. So in terms of its presence from the street, it wouldn't be seen. It'd be behind that landscaping. We also have a condition regarding the landscaping to ensure it's maintained on site. Overall, officers are satisfied that the substation is required for the school and is acceptable subject to conditions.
Thank you, Owen. Councillor Chandel, Councillor Singh.
Thank you, Chair. I'll do my normal speech. Anything with green written on it is a no straight away, but times have changed. Special circumstances on 7.1, officers made the right noise about harm, and I'm keen to see what harm is there, and I really, with it all covered up, nothing seen, and the size of it, I can't see the harm, so I will go with officers. I'll propose to go with officer's recommendation.
Councillor Singh.
Thank you, Chair. Second.
Thank you. So it's proposed and seconded. I'll show of hands those in favour. That's unanimous. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for this evening, and I wish you a farewell, safe journey home to councillors and colleagues. Close this meeting.